Okay. Hello students, good evening. So it's a beautiful Saturday and welcome to Practicaly's NEET course. So today we are going to talk a little bit about the plant kingdom. Now in the previous classes we have gone through the classifications and the fundamentals about taxonomy, hierarchy and everything. But now we are dropping into the plant kingdom. So in the previous classes, we had discussed about the other kingdoms, such as the Monera, the Protista, the fungi and everything. So today, a little bit we'll talk about the plant kingdom. I have divided it into two classes. One will be for algae, bryophyte and pteridophyte, and the other one will be for gymnosperms and angiosperms, which we'll be talking about in the next class. So we'll I'll talk a little bit about Practically and who we are. We are actually India's first experiential app, and it runs for the courses from 6th grade to 12th grade. And you can have a look at it. It is beautiful and you have a lot of videos. You have simulations, interactive videos, which actually bridges the gap between the theoretical knowledge and the practical knowledge. Okay. So if you like us, you can explore about us in Facebook and on Instagram, even on YouTube. You can find a lot of videos about us. And if you like our app, you can rate your experience from your iPhones and your Android phones. Okay, so quickly, we'll go into the kingdoms of life. We have actually talked, yes, the last class we have talked about archaebacteria. We have also talked about a little bit about eubacteria. So Protista was also done. Okay. And we had talked about fungi also. So Monera, Protista, fungi is done. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the plant kingdom. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the plant kingdom. Okay. So, quickly, now the plant kingdom is actually divided into two kinds. Today, we're going to talk about cryptograms. Now, there is cryptogam and there is phanerogams. What are these cryptograms and phanerogams? Cryptograms is actually that kind of plant which does not have any kind of seed or any kind of flowers, nothing like that. There's no embryo or anything. Okay, so no seed, no flowers, and no fruits. Okay, so these are known as cryptogams. And what are phanerogams? Phanerogams have seed, seeded, fruited, although very wrong English word, but seeded, fruited and flowered kind of plants. Okay, so today we are going to stick to cryptogams. Now going back, we can see that there are three kinds of cryptogams. Okay, algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes. Today we're going to talk about all three of these. Okay, it is very easy and you can get a lot of questions from these. Okay, it's very important for NEET. Okay, questions tend to repeat themselves in NEET. Okay, so let me check if any of you have joined. Okay, I see a lot of people here. I see Pavni, I see Mahesh. Hello everyone, I'm glad you people joined. So together we learn today a little bit about plants, basically algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes. Okay, so now you know what is cryptogam. Cryptogam, just put it in your brains. Cryptogams is no seeds, no flowers, no fruits. Okay, and phanerogams, they are seeded, fruited, flowered. That's all you have to remember. Okay, so first we'll go into algae. Now algae, if you suppose you live in an area which has a pond. Now not a lot of people go into that pond, you know that not a lot people explore in that pond. Now, after some days, you tend to see there are some growth, okay, on the pond. You see some kind of green growth on the pond, okay, some greenery you see on the pond. That is a kind of algae, okay. It can be kind of bryophytes also, but it is mostly algae which settles on the pond, okay. It is not to be feared of, okay. Green things are actually, it's actually a very good source of nutrition. People actually have algae nowadays and use algae for a lot of purposes. But first, we'll see what it is. Okay, so they are mostly aquatic. Okay, so they're mostly aquatic or they are terrestrial. Aquatic as in inside water bodies. Okay, and terrestrial means on land. Okay, so they can survive inside water also and on land also. Okay, a few algae grow on other plants. They are parasitic in nature. Okay, so they are parasitic in nature. So now they are very small. Okay, they are unicellular, only one cell you can see. Okay, and microscopic like chlorella and chlamydomonas. Now be very aware that these examples, chlorella, chlamydomonas, are unicellular. This is very important for question points of view. Okay, these are very important. You have to remember examples. I'll just point it out. Remember examples. Okay, so unicellular is like chlorella, chlamydomonas. Then there is multicellular, as in a lot of cells. We are multicellular like that. Okay, so Spirogyra, Ulothrix. Okay, so these are multicellular or huge macroscopic. Macroscopic as in huge, you can see it with your naked eyes. Okay, such as seaweeds. Okay, you can see in sea, you go for a vacation. Okay, you see a lot of greenery. In some seas, you see a lot of greenery. These are seaweeds. Okay, they are 60 meters. That's huge. 60 meters in length. For example, sargassum. Okay, so remember, unicellular chlorella chlamydomonas, multicellular Spirogyra ulothrix, very big organisms as a sargassum. Okay, remember these. Now next, so their cell is actually very special. Okay, now they have lot of things. They have the same cell kind of structures such as bacteria and not bacteria. We'll not talk about bacteria now. We'll talk about fungus and all. Okay, bacteria is primitive. Bacteria is prokaryotic. These are eukaryotes only. They have everything in their cells. They have mitochondria, DNA, RNA, everything they have. But apart from that, just they are in the plant kingdom, so they have a cell wall. Since they have cell wall, so they are in the plant kingdom. Okay, so now cell wall, plant kingdom, what is their cell wall made up of? Cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin. Okay, these are very strong materials. Okay, they live in conditions such as they can live in the water, they can live in on land. Okay, so they need very tough cell wall so that they don't disrupt. Okay, and these things, cellulose and pectin, they make sure that they don't disrupt easily. So that is why they have this tough cell wall. And apart from that, they have another thing which puts them in the plant kingdom, that is chloroplasts. Okay, so now we'll see in this figure, this is an algae. Okay, so as you see, you can see mitochondria, cytoplasm, ribosome, Golgi apparatus, nucleus, everything they have, like eukaryotes. Okay, they are eukaryotes. Now, apart from that, they have chloroplast. Okay, so they have chlorophyll, which helps in which helps in photosynthesis. Okay, so algae are photosynthetic in nature. Okay, because they have photosynthetic pigments such as chlorophyll A, they have carotenoids, they have phycobilins and everything. Okay, these things. Okay, so that is what it makes it special and puts it in the plant kingdom. Apart from that, they have another thing they have, which is not present in a lot of plants or anything. They have the starch vacuole. Okay, what they do, they store food over here. Food materials such as starch, laminarin, mannitol, etc. They store food in this vacuole. Okay, this is a special feature for algae. Okay, so now to sum it up, we have algae. They are photosynthetic in nature. They have chlorophyll. Okay, they have some special type of cell wall which is made up of cellulose and pectin, which are very hard materials. And apart from that, they have a vacuole which stores starch. Let me see if anybody has any questions. Okay. Okay, everybody is saying hi, and sorry, I'll say hi again. Hello, hi Pavni, hi Mahesh, hi Rahul. I'm very happy that you guys joined, and let's learn something new today. Okay, so now we are done with the basic things about this thing, algae. Now we'll talk a little bit about reproduction in algae, how there is reproduction, how algae species, they reproduce. Okay, be very aware here also, reproduction part in algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes are very important for NEET. Very small question comes, okay, such as examples and all, they come, and it is important for NEET. Every 1 or 2 years, they tend to repeat. Okay, so now reproduction in algae is found in 3 forms. Okay, there is vegetative, there is asexual, and there is sexual reproduction. Okay, so first we'll just read what is written, and then we'll see, then I'll draw it for you and I can show you some pictures so you'll get it properly. Okay, and if you have any doubt, students, please understand, if you have any doubts, please put it in the chat box. I will see it and I'll answer it as per like how much best I can. I'll answer it for you. Okay, so now we go into the vegetative part. Now vegetative reproduction is a very basic kind. Okay, now cells are actually, I'll show you. Algae looks sometimes like this. Okay, suppose like this, filaments. Okay, these are cells, they have nucleus. Okay, so this is known as thallus. A part of it is known as thallus. So what happens in vegetative reproduction? What happens? These segments you can see. Okay, so these segments break. Okay, like this, one part, another part, and another part. Okay, each of them have nucleus. So these they break from here, from these segments, they break, okay, into different parts, and from there again they start growing. Okay, each of them, they grow their own bodies. Okay, so they grow their own bodies. So this is vegetative reproduction in algae. Okay, so we'll just read fragmentation, as you said. See, this breaking of things is known as fragmentation, and then there is cell division, okay, where they grow into individuals. So this is vegetative reproduction. Now next is asexual reproduction. Now, asexual reproduction is done with the help of spores. Okay, so now if you don't know spores, I will say from the very basic thing, we are talking about asexual reproduction. Okay, so there is a special thing which is also found in fungi also, but is mostly found in algae and bryophytes and pteridophytes. There are things called spores. Now, as I said that spores are actually, now these plants, cryptograms, algae, pteridophytes, bryophytes, they're all cryptograms. Okay, so they don't have seeds. Seeds, what do they do? Basically, seeds, they help in the growth of, you take some orange seed or you take some, rose seeds and you put it inside the soil and you water it properly, you give some fertilizer, it will grow into a plant. Okay, those are phanerogams. In case of cryptograms, there is spores. So these are actually haploid in nature, have one chromosome. Okay, haploid. And they are basically unit of sexual or asexual reproduction. Okay, so they are unit of reproduction and basically they work like seeds. Okay, so spores, here in asexual reproduction there is spores. Now algae have spores which are motile, as in they can move. Motile spores. Motile means moving. So it sort of looks like this. So these spores, suppose this is a spore and they have cilia or flagella, okay, and they can move. So this is a spore. So what happens, okay, as I said, zoospores. So they are motile in nature, though they are known as zoospores. And these spores, okay, they germinate. Okay, spores, a lot of spores come together, okay, and they give rise to an algae. Okay. So this is what asexual reproduction looks like. This is just zoospores. Zoospores giving rise to an algae. Okay, so this is how it works. Wait, I'll show you. See, as I showed, these are zoospores. Okay, they grow one after the other, they break off and they become new body. So, and this is fragmentation. Okay, as I showed you, thallus, and there's fragmentation and they give rise. So this is vegetative. Okay, now vegetative, examples of vegetative is Pyrogyra. Remember this. This is asexual. Okay, an example of asexual is Cladophora. Okay, now we'll talk about the most important thing, that is the sexual reproduction in algae. Why is it most important? Because it is a bit complex in matter. There are some forms of it, okay, and it is a bit complex in matter. That is why it is a bit problematic. Okay, let me see if anybody has any question. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, any doubts, please ask in the chat box. Okay, so sexual reproduction in algae is of three kinds. Okay, so show you there is isogamy. Okay, isogamy, there is anisogamy, there is oogamy. Now isogamy is for gametes, same kind of gametes. Okay, suppose this is a gamete, these are two gametes, they are of same shape. Okay, so this is isogamy. Okay, anisogamy. Anisogamy is where one gamete is big, okay, and one gamete is small in nature. Okay, so this is anisogamy. And oogamy is where there are two different properly, there is a male gamete and there is a female gamete. Here there is no meaning that it has to be a male or female. It can be male, male, female, female also. Just basically isogamy is same structure and isogamy is different structure. And here in oogamy there will be a female. Okay, this is female and there will be a male gamete. Okay, and there will be fertilization, which will be known as oogamy. Okay, so three parts: isogamy, anisogamy, oogamy. Okay, so and remember the as I'm saying again and again, remember the examples. Isogamy is for Spirogyra, anisogamy is Chlamydomonas, oogamy is Volvox. Okay, so here it looks, see, same kind of structure. This is isogamy, same size. Okay, this is anisogamy. See, this is smaller and this is larger. So this is different size. Okay, and this is oogamy. Okay, this is male and this is female. So this is oogamy. Okay, so now this diagram will actually make some sense to you. Asexual, we have already discussed what happens. There is zoospores. Okay, so we are not concentrating on asexual right now. So asexual, I'll just write over here zoospores germinate into new algae. Okay, so this is what happens. Now in sexual reproduction, what happens? Okay, now you know that it can be isogamy, anisogamy, oogamy also. So what is happening? There is, okay, I'll show you. Suppose this is an algae. Okay, so here there will be a female gamete, as I told you. Suppose this is oogamy, so there will be a female gamete. Okay, so this is ascogonium. Show you. Okay, here it will be. Okay, so and then there will be a male. One second. So it will be a bit smaller in size. Okay, this is Antheridium. Okay, so this is female, this is male. They come together inside only. Okay, and they fertilize. Okay, and give rise to new cells, which again come out and become different algae. So basically it means that the male gamete and the female gamete, they come together and fertilize, which gives rise to algae. Okay, see, that is what is happening. See, there is antherozoid which goes inside, okay, and there's the formation of egg which becomes a zygote, and that's the liberation of spores and then new colony. Okay, so here fertilize, spores and new algae. That is what happens. Okay, so any doubts? Anyone? Any doubts? Please tell me, just fast, tell me fast so that I can. Okay. Okay, Rahul, I got it. You have no doubts. Very good. Okay. So we move on to the uses of algae. Now, algae is actually used in a lot of places. Okay, nowadays people actually have algae powder, which is very good for health. Okay, but apart from that also it is used in a lot of places. Okay, they are used as in nutrition, as food supplements, etc. They are used in fuel. Okay, nowadays algae has been used in fuel. Okay, fuel is a very important thing. We run on what to say, diesel and petrol. We have cars and it runs on diesel and petrol, but nowadays we know that diesel and petrol have actually become costly and can actually get over at any time. Okay, they can get over. Okay, so nowadays scientists are trying to bring a different kind of fuel for your cars, for your bikes, etc. Okay, that is where this comes in. Algae comes in. Algae actually produces a thing called bioethanol. Okay, this has been done with the help of algae, and this is used as fuel. So it is very important, although it is in a very developmental stage right now, and not a lot of people are actually, because it is a difficult process and people are actually looking for alternatives. So it is quite like in the scientific stage. Okay, it's in the, they're trying to make it, and if it's a popularity and if it becomes successful, I'm sure in the near future you or your kids might be running on cars which runs on bioethanols. Okay, so apart from that, as I said, they are used as supplementary procedures, and they are actually, they help in the carbon dioxide fixation, which actually creates less pollution. They help in controlling pollution and everything. So basically algae is a very important thing. Okay, so done with algae. Now we talk a little bit about the types of algae. Types of algae, as in they are divided according to their color. Okay, as I said, algae is photosynthetic in nature and they have pigments. Okay, colors inside them. The chloroplasts actually give out pigments. So they are actually divided into green algae, red algae, and brown algae. Okay, so first we'll talk about green algae or chlorophyceae. So as the name suggests, chlorophyll. Okay, so it is green in color. Okay, chlorophyll A, B is there, so it is green in color. Most of the members have one or more storage bodies called pyrenoids. They have a special storage called pyrenoids, which contain, as I said, protein and starch. They always, a special feature which is not seen in any kind of plants, very few plants, is this special feature where they have vacuoles storing food, starch or protein or stuff like that. They can be used as food. Okay, and they have a rigid cell wall. I have told this again and again in the beginning only. I told this to you. They have a rigid cell wall which is made up of cellulose and pectose or pectin. Okay, And remember the names again and again. I'm saying remember the names. The common forms are Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Laminaria, Sargassum, and Fucus. Okay, so remember the names. Okay, I'll write it again. Remember the names. So, green algae is Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Sargassum, Fucus, and Laminaria. Okay, done. Next, brown algae or Phaeophyceae. Now, brown algae, as it suggests, it is brown in color. See this picture, you can see it is brown in color. Now, they show great variation in size and form. They can be very small also, and they can be very big also. Okay, they're basically brown in color, and they range from simple branched and filamentous forms such as Ectocarpus to profusely branched forms and represented by keds. Okay, so they can be small. Smaller ones have actually very small branch. Okay, just one branch. The bigger ones are actually very big. Okay, so this is how it works. Now they possess chlorophyll A, C, carotene, xanthophylls, etc. And their color, it varies from olive in color, olive as in dark, lightish green, darkish green kind of, and brown. Okay, so the next one is Rhodophyceae. Rhodophyceae is red algae. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. Okay, now we all know that plants, there are lots of plants which actually live inside the ocean or the sea. How do they do that? Okay, because sea in the upper level has a lot of sun, it gets a lot of sun rays, etc. Okay, but only up till some 1,000 meters only you can see that the sun rays are coming. The plants there actually survive with that little bit of sunlight. They do photosynthesis, they make their food, and they survive. But after that, what happens? After that first 1,000 meters, from 1,000 meters to 1,500 meters, what happens? You can see this thing, this Rhodophyceae or red algae is there under 1,000 meters. Okay, so it remains under 1,000 to 1,500 meters. You can actually see it. Okay, so what happens? How do they survive? They are not green in color. What they do, this red in color, can you see this red in color? They reflect it. Okay, so whatever they reflect, and then they try to absorb whatever blue color is coming. Okay, because sun directly, yellow light is not coming, it is falling and passing through a kilometer of water, so it will be blue in color. Okay, so they'll take blue color, they'll give out red color, and they'll take blue color, and then they will do photosynthesis. So I just write it so that you remember. So they give out red color and absorb blue color, and then they survive deep under water. Okay, so I'll repeat it again. No light inside 1,500 meters of water, no light. It comes like some sort of blue. So they give out red, take blue, they photosynthesize, they live. Okay, so they are very like, it is kind of a miracle that they survive there, but it is because of this pigment called phycoerythrin only they are surviving so much. Okay, only because they have this thing, they are surviving. Okay, so majority of red algae, as I said, are marine, as in they live underwater. Great concentrations are found in warmer areas. Okay, warmer seas and all they can found. Food is stored in Floridian starch. As I said, they'll always be storing food in the form of starch or anything. Okay, and the common members are again examples: Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Crachima, and Gelidium. Okay, so remember these examples. Okay, let me see if anybody has any question. In ocean, yes, Kashif, in ocean only you can find these things, these algae known as rhodophyceae in oceans or in seas, underwater, deep underwater, where there is no sunlight. You can find these things. Where in ocean, after 1,000 meters, I'll repeat it again, after 1,000 meters, it is not yellow sunlight anymore because it is passing through a lot of water. It becomes blue. Okay, the light, the very little bit amount of light you get there is blue in color. So what red algae does, it gives out this red, whatever red they have, they shine it, okay, and they take up the blue color and they photosynthesize, and that is how it works. Okay, so I hope this is a very interesting story, but it also sometimes it comes for NEET also. I have actually seen a question where they ask how they do that, and the answer is phycoerythrin. Because of this phycoerythrin, they survive inside water. Okay, so now we move on to Bryophyta. Bryophyta is also called amphibian of, as you can see, amphibian in the plant kingdom. Why? Because they survive both. Okay, they live on land. Okay, but for reproduction, they want water. So they want both land and water. That is why they are called amphibian plants or amphibian of the plant kingdom. Okay, and they grow in shady, moist places. You can see, you can go to waterfall or any kind of water bodies or anything. In top of, on side of that, you'll find some rocks, and on those rocks you'll see some plants, kind of a thing. It will be mossy. There'll be pteridophytes and there'll be bryophytes also. Okay, so what they showed, thalloid plant body, which is not differentiated into root, stem, and leaves. Okay, so they basically look like this. Okay, there is no root, there is no leaf, they are just one thing. Okay, this is known as the thalloid structure. Okay, so there is no thalloid, there is no, like, no plants, no leaves, no roots, no stems, nothing like that. Just one structure which looks like this. Okay, there are some roots which actually are known as rhizoids. They're very small. Okay, very small in nature. These are known as rhizoids. Okay, they show in bryophytes true roots are absent, but rhizoids are present. As I said, they're not true roots. Okay, false roots they are. Okay, and they are known as rhizoids. Okay, rhizoids are unicellular in liverworts and multicellular in mosses. Liverworts and mosses are kinds of bryophytes. Okay, so they can be unicellular, as in one cell only. They're so small, they're just one cell. Okay, so they can be unicellular and they can be multicellular as well. Okay, so they absorb water and minerals and also help in fixation of thallus to substratum. They work like these rhizoids. They work like roots only, just that they are very small in nature. Okay, that is why they are known as false roots and not true roots. Okay, so that is the specialty it has. Now, reproduction in Bryophyta. This is actually the life cycle which I have given, and I'll try to talk about it. Okay, so first you remember this diagram and see if anybody has any doubts. Where can you see this? Okay, you're talking about, Kashif is asking, where can you see this, as in, like, you're talking about red algae, I guess. Okay, Rhodophyceae. Red algae you can actually see, and you cannot go see it because it is too underwater. You can Google it and actually see that how it is doing and everything. You can actually see these red algae inside water. Not all of them, you can find it outside also, but most of the red algae you can find it inside water, around 1000 to 1500 meters inside oceans or seas. You can see this. Okay, I hope I cleared your doubt. Anyway, we are talking about Bryophyta, and we are talking about the reproduction in Bryophyta. This is basically whatever I've shown you is actually the life cycle of how Bryophyta works. Okay, of how life cycle, the whole cycle works. Okay, so this Bryophyta also, since it's a cryptogam, Bryophyta works on spores. So tell me what I told about spores. Spores are basically sexual or asexual unit of reproduction. And just remember, they have one small part of like it's haploid, one chromosome, one set of chromosome. So they are haploid in nature. So just N. Okay. So what happens even in Bryophyta? We work with spores. So suppose there are spores. So you can see. So there are spores. Mitosis happens. Okay. There's division. Okay. And there are two kinds of plants. Okay. You can see female gametophyte spore and male gametophyte spore. So it gives rise to male gamete and female gamete. Okay. And they have antheridium and archegonium. Okay. They fertilize embryo and sporocyte. Okay. So, see, there is spore. Okay. So they give rise to two kinds of plants. There is the second male gametophyte. Okay, and there is the female gametophyte. Okay, so they give rise to a female plant. Okay, there is a female plant and there is a male plant. So this, for them, okay, the male in the male plant, the spore here, okay, the reproductory part is known as antheridium, and this is antheridium, and this is archegonium. Okay, archegonium. Okay. So in the male part, it is known as the antheridium, and the female part is known as archegonium. Now these two, what happens? This antheridium travels. Okay, the spore travels in water. Okay, this is water. It happens only in water. Remember that it happens. The fertilization happens only in water. It comes to the archegonium. Suppose this is the female part. This one will travel up till here, and finally they will fertilize and form an embryo. See, there is antheridium. This is the male part, one end, and this is the egg or the archegonium. In water, they transport this antheridium, they travel and they come to the archegonium. Okay. And there is the formation of embryo, which is 2N. Okay. So this is, as this is haploid, this is N, this is N. Okay. Embryo is 2N. Now this embryo goes through meiosis, where it again gives rise to spores, which are all haploid in number. Okay. Then again, this whole process will continue. Okay, male plant, female plant, and again, male plant will give up antheridium, and female plant will give archegonium. They'll fertilize, they'll make an embryo, meiosis, spores. So this is the whole cycle in which Bryophyta grows. Spores, female plant, male plant, then embryo, then spores again. Very easy to remember. Okay. So now what is the importance of bryophytes? As I told you, algae has a lot of importance. Okay. So even bryophytes have. Okay. So they actually work as a food for a lot of mammals, okay, a lot of animals and birds, etc. They are used as food materials. They are also used as fuel. As I said, for algae, they are also used as fuel and peat, as fertilizers, etc. They are used. Okay. And they decompose rocks so that it becomes soil. Okay. Suppose they have rocks. On rocks, you can find a lot of moss or liverworts, and it decomposes and it becomes fertilized soil. And they also prevent soil erosion. They also hold it together. The soil, whatever they form, they hold it together so that they don't erode. So that is one of the major important work for bryophytes. Okay. So let me see if there's any question. Okay. Okay. So, okay, since you guys have no doubts, we'll move on to the type of bryophytes. Okay. So as I've already said, bryophytes are basically of two kinds. There is liverworts and there is mosses. Okay. So first we'll talk about liverworts and why is it so special. Okay. Moss a lot of people know, but liverworts are one thing. They have a special kind of structure which actually makes it very important for NEET. Okay. So liverworts. Important for NEET. Okay, so what happens is, see, this is a liverwort. Okay, and what is this special structure? Can you see these round things over here on the leaf? Okay, these round things on the leaf are the main important structures in bryophytes or the liverworts. They are known as gemma or gemme. Okay, gemma cups. And they're cups like structure. Okay, so they are known as gemma or gemme. Okay, these are the ones which help in the reproduction of the liverworts. Okay, so what happens? Only asexual reproduction. Here in algae, we saw there is sexual, asexual, vegetative. But here in liverworts, you can see there is asexual reproduction only. Okay, in liverworts takes place fragmentation of thalli or by formation of specialized structures called gemma or gemme. Okay, so what happens? These are asexual buds which develop small receptacles. Okay, and detached from the parent body and germinate. So what happens? They detach. Okay, I'll show it in a proper figure so you understand. So the basic idea is what happens? There is the plants. Okay, there's the thallus or the leaf. Okay, we cannot say leaf because they are just one structure. So they are the leaf kind of a structure, the thallus. And on top of them, there are cups. Okay, and they detach. Okay, and then they fertilize together and form new plants. Okay, and during sexual reproduction, there is male and female sex organs that are produced on either or the same side. Okay, we'll talk about it. See, so this is what happens in the life cycle. Okay, so as you see, this is the thallus. This is the whole body. Okay, this is the whole body. Sorry, this is the whole body of the liverwort. Now, as I said, there are rhizoids are those false roots. Okay, and these cups. Okay, these cups, can you see? These are the gemma cups. Okay, now what happened? As I said, they detach. Okay, suppose this is a female one and this is a male one. Okay, see. So what happens? They detach. Okay, so female one, they give an archegonia. Okay, the part of that gemma cup. Okay, the female one in the gemma cup, this is archegonia. And this also detaches. Okay, this is the antheridia. Okay. So these are the spores or the sperms. Okay, they come and fertilize the archegonia. Antheridia comes and fertilize the archegonia. Then again, as in sexual reproduction, you can see, okay, the sperm goes into the egg and the embryo is formed. Okay, and there is, after fertilization, there is the embryo formed. It grows, and again, spores are formed, which gives up into a proper liverwort. So basically, what happens? Gamma cups. Okay, one gives out a female part known as archegonia. There is a male part, is antheridia. Okay, they come together. Okay, they detach, come together, and fertilize. Now the fertilization part is sexual. And this part, this gamma cup and the detachment part is asexual in nature. Okay, so this is what happens in liverworts. Okay, so I hope you understood. Anybody, any doubts, anything? Please, if you have any doubts, please just write it up on the chat box and I'm ready to answer it. Okay, so no doubts. Now, done with liverworts, now we'll talk about mosses or Bryophyta. Now, we talked about liverworts because of its specialized structure known as gamma cups. You cannot see it in anything else. You can only see it in liverworts. Okay, so now mosses are also a bit different. Okay, when it comes to reproduction, okay, there is a bit different. Okay, so there are actually two stages in a moss's life. Mosses, as you can see, and definitely if you go to, suppose you go into a for a touring or vacation, you go for a waterfalls, some waterfalls. There are lots of waterfalls in India. You can go and visit. Okay, so you go for waterfalls and there you see that there are some rocks and you feel like the rocks have some slippery things. Okay, there are some green plants growing on it, and when you try to sit on it, you'll slip. Okay, that has happened a lot. I have gone and I've actually slipped also. It is very painful because the rocks are very solid and it hurts. But those green plants you see, those are mosses. Okay, so it looks kind of like this on the rock. It will look kind of like this, very small in nature. You just have one body, no roots, no plants, no stems, nothing. It will look like this. Okay, and they have two stages. There is the protonema stage, okay, which develop directly from spore, and there is the leafy stage, develops from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud. Okay, so they are attached to soil through multicellular branch rhizoids or the false roots. They are attached to it. There is vegetative reproduction in mosses by fragmentation and budding, and sexual reproduction. The sex organs antheridia and archegonia produce zygote, which develops into sporophyte. Okay, so basically kind of same only. Okay, whatever is happening in the different bryophytes, here also it's different, kind of same only. So there is the protonema stage and the leafy stage. So I'll write it. It's protonema and leafy stage. The protonema stage is actually a bit smaller and the leafy stage is a bit larger. So protonema stage, what happens? There is a spore, as you can see here, and it gives rise to a leafy gametophyte. Okay, it can be a male or a female or anything. Okay, leafy gametophyte. The sporing stage is the protonema stage. Okay, so now what happens again? Okay, the same story again and again. So there will be, in the mosses, there will be a female Okay, and there will be a male. Female is known as archegonium, and this is known as antheridium. Okay, so what happens? The antheridium comes to archegonium and it fertilizes. Okay. Fertilizes, something like this, and a zygote is formed. Then again, the zygote, again, it comes out. Okay, suppose this is a mossy area. Okay, there's a zygote. It comes out. The speciality feature is the zygote comes out, okay, from the plants, and then it gives out spores. See what happens. There's the zygote, okay, and it comes out of the plant, just takes its neck out like that, and then it gives out spores. Then again, this leafy thing goes out into protonema stage. So basically nothing to worry about. This is not very difficult to understand. There is spores, okay, protonema stage, there's spores. It goes out into a leafy plant. Leafy plant has a male part, has a female part. There's archegonium and there is antheridium. Antheridium comes and fertilizes the archegonium, okay, and it takes out its head, the zygote, the embryo, it takes out its head and it bursts. A lot of spores comes out and then it goes and becomes into a proper moss. That's all. Okay. So any doubt? I'm saying it again and again. If there is any doubt, just let me know in the chat box. Okay. So done with Bryophyta. So I just recap a bit what and all we have learned today. Today we are learning a little bit about the plant kingdom. Basically 3 parts of the plant kingdom. Today we learned about algae, the different kinds of algae, how algae reproduces the different kinds, the vegetative and the sexual and the asexual one. And then we learned about Bryophyta, how the Bryophyta life cycle works. Then we learned a little bit about liverworts, and then we learned a little bit about mosses. Now this is the last part, which is the Pteridophyta. Now Pteridophyta is actually a bit better, a bit developed in when compared to algae and Bryophyta. Why? Because they have vascular tissues. Okay, so vascular tissues, what do vascular tissues as in? They have special tissues for carrying water, which is like a food source for them. So they have special tissues for carrying water. That is why they are a bit developed. Pteridophytes are a bit developed. Okay, pteridophyte includes, again, examples again, children, horsetails and ferns. So an example of pteridophyte is horsetails and ferns. Okay, so they are terrestrial. They do not survive in water. They are terrestrial in nature. They live on land. They are small. Okay, small in nature. They are terrestrial, small, either annual or perennial, as in they live all over the year, or they live in some seasons only, and grow luxuriantly in cool, moist, shady places. Okay, you take some ferns, okay, you go to a local nursery, okay, go to your local nursery, okay, where plants are grown, and there you ask, Anna, you give me some ferns, okay, he will give you some ferns, a big kind of plant, and you keep it anywhere in the house where there is no sunlight, okay, it's a bit moistury and everything, and it will grow luxuriously, it will grow huge. Okay, why? Because it grows, it doesn't need a lot of sunlight, a little bit of light, a little bit, and its vascular tissues, a little bit of water, and grow properly. That's why it's so hardcore. Okay, so they may be aquatic, sometimes they live in water, okay, such as Azolla and Marcellia. Okay, they are xerophytic, okay, which is Chrysanthemum, and they are epiphytic, or they grow large trunks of trees, okay, such as Lycopodium. Just remember these examples, okay, always remember these examples, okay. So now how does a fern look? You think about it, if you have seen how does a fern look, this is how it looks, okay. So this whole green structure, okay, one second, this whole green structure is known as frond, okay, and these leafy like structures, 1, 2, 3, these are known as blades, okay, and they have roots, some little roots, rhizoids kind, okay. So this is how it looks. So their primary root is short-lived and soon replaced by adventitious roots. Okay, sometimes they don't live and they have into adventitious roots. Stem may be aerial or underground. It might be the stems. These stems you can see, they might be aerial or underground. Sometimes it is above the land or sometimes it is below the land. Okay. The plant body is sporophyte, which is differentiated into true root, stem, leaves, differentiated vascular tissue. So this is not a fake thing. Okay, so they have roots. Although they don't have flowers and fruits and seeds and everything, they have roots, stems, and leaves. A bit better, as I said, a bit developed. Okay, the leaves in Pteridophyta are small. Okay, like Selaginella, or they can be big, as in ferns. Okay. So pteridophytes, the xylem consists of only tracheids and phloem consists of only sieve cells. The xylem and phloem are the vascular tissues which carry water. Okay. So they are only tracheids. They are not very developed. The vascular tissues are not very developed, but they're still there. Okay. They're tracheids and sieve cells. Basic vascular tissues they have. Okay, so there is no cambium, there is no, as I said, no advanced vascular cells are not present. So there is no cambium or cambium as in the internal structure which carries water. That is not there. There's just xylem and phloem. That's all. They use it for taking water. Okay. So, okay. So that's all. Now, life cycle of pteridophytes, basically they have, okay, there is a sporophyte life cycle and there is a gametophyte life cycle. This is how it looks. Okay. There's a gap. Okay. This is the sporophyte and this is the gametophyte. So it is divided into two parts. So what happens is, see, the basic idea here is, as I said, they have leaves. Now, behind these leaves, they have spores. So, suppose this is a leaf. Now, behind it, they have spores. Okay, see, here you can see sporangium. These are the leaves. There is a sporangium. As I said again and again, I'm saying spores are the reproductive unit. Okay, so there is sporangium which carries the spores. Okay, now this is the gametophyte. Gametophyte cycle. And this is the Sporophyte cycle. Okay, so what happens here? See, there is sperm. Okay, this is the male part and there is the female part. So just gametes, male gamete, female gamete. Okay, so in the sporophyte cycle, they fertilize. and form a zygote. Okay. From this zygote again, there is a growth of leaves. Okay, new sporophytes. Sporophytes works, as I said, it works as a seed. It gives rise to a mature plant. So this is one of the easiest reproduction you can see. There is sporangium, okay, behind the leaves. Behind the leaves, there is sporangium, which gives rise to spores. Spores, there is a male spore and there is female spore. Okay, this is the Gametophyte cycle. Okay, then we go into the Sporophyte cycle. Here, there is fertilization, which gives rise to new sporophyte. Then it becomes plants again. That is how the whole thing works. This is how the whole reproduction or the life cycle of the fawn works. Okay. So just read through it. We'll just read through it and see what are the examples. Okay, this is the dominant and longer phase than gametophyte. Spores are produced by spore mother cells through meiosis. Okay, the examples is Lycopodium. Some plants are heterosporous as they produce two kinds of spores, microspores and macrospores. Sometimes it will be same in, they might be same in size, or they might be, one might be big. Okay, female might be big in size and the male might be smaller in size. Okay, so it happens like that. For example, Selaginella. Okay, microspores produce male Antheridia and megaspores produce female Archegonia. As I said, the female will be bigger and the male will be shorter. Okay, under favorable condition, these spores germinated to gametophytes or called prothallus. They fertilize. Okay, now, okay, so what happens? Gametophytes are multicellular and photosynthetic. They bear the female and the male sex organs. Again, male sex organ, as I said, is Antheridia. Female sex organ is Archegonia. The sperm in the Antheridia fuses into the egg, forming the zygote. Zygote later develops into the sporophyte. Okay, and the life cycle gets complete. Okay, basically, spores, female spore, male spore, fertilization, giving rise to another spore, then formation of pods. Okay, that's it. Done. Okay, so any question till now? We're almost done. Now I have some basic questions, okay, which are important for NEET, which I'll be asking, and you can also help me out to solve it. Anybody has any question? Kashif, Rahul, if you have any question, you can ask now. Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to the question and answer part, and if you guys are watching, please answer, please try to answer, or I will answer it for you and I'll help you out. Okay, so let's move on. So quiz time. Okay, which of the plant groups need both land and water to complete their life cycle? Trichiophyta, Pteridophyta, Thallophyta, Bryophyta. Anyone? Can anyone answer? Just now I talked about it. Okay, who are the amphibians? I am giving a tip. I'm giving. Okay, they are known as the amphibians of plant kingdom. Anybody? Okay, so the answer is Bryophyta. Okay, because it needs water for reproduction. Okay, so you need Bryophytas need water for reproduction, and the answer is Bryophyta. Pteridophyta can be terrestrial or can be aquatic. Tracheophyta also, Thallophyta also. Thallophyta is basically algae. Okay, so these can be either aquatic or terrestrial. They don't need both. So the answer is Bryophyta. Okay, so moving on. In bryophytes and pteridophytes, transport of male gamete requires wind, insects, birds, water. Anybody? Okay, so the answer is water. As I said, there is Archegonia, which is the female gamete, and there is Antheridia, which is the male gamete. So male gamete, they travel in water to the Archegonia for fertilization. So the answer is water. Okay. So the next question. Plants that possess spores and embryo but lack vascular tissues and seeds, what are those? Rhodophyta, Bryophyta, Teradophyta, Biophyta. Who will answer? Can anybody answer? Is anybody willing to answer? Okay, so I'll only answer. So first I'll go one by one. Rhodophyta is red algae. Okay, so they have spores, but they have no embryo. Embryo is not there. Okay, Bryophyta, they have vascular also is not there. Vascular tissues is also not there. Okay. Bryophyta, they possess spores. Okay. They have embryo. Okay. But no vascular. Pteridophyta, spores is there. Embryo is there. Vascular is also there. And Phaeophyta or brown algae, spores present, embryo not present, vascular not present. So plants that possess spores and embryo but lack vascular tissues, as you can see, is B. They have spores and embryo but no vascular tissues. So the answer is B, Bryophyta. Okay. Okay, so moving on. Pteridophytes differ from mosses in independent gametophyte, dependent gametophyte, flagellate antherozoids, independent and dominant sporophyte. Anybody? Okay, so independent gametophyte, okay, is not the correct answer. Dependent gametophyte is not the correct answer. Okay, because both of them have their, okay, that is a similarity. Flagellate antherozoids, that is also there in both. Independent and dominant sporophyte, as you said, as you saw, pteridophyte ferns have dominant Sporophyte cycle. So the correct answer is independent and dominant sporophyte. Okay. Next. Okay. So plants reproducing by spores are grouped under bryophytes, sporophytes, cryptograms, thallophytes. Okay. So there's a group. as I said, cryptograms. Okay. No seed, no fruit, no flower, only spores. And then there is phanerogams. There is seed, there is fruit, there is flower. Okay, so the answer is cryptograms. Bryophytes, sporophyte, thalophytes are just examples. Okay, examples. But the group is cryptograms. This is the answer. Okay, so Rhodophyceae is called red algae because of the pigment. Just now we discussed. Anyone? Okay, so the answer is phycoerythrin. Okay, red algae have a pigment called phycoerythrin. Okay, fucoxanthin is not there. Carotenoids are orange in color. Chlorophyll is green in color. So the red one is phycoerythrin. Okay, so last question, everyone. Okay, bryophytes are called amphibians of plant kingdom because these plants live in soil and depend on marine organisms for asexual reproduction. These plants live in soil and depend on water for sexual reproduction. These plants live in water and depend on land animals for sexual reproduction, and these plants live near water bodies. Anyone? Okay, so the answer is these plants live on soil and depend on water for sexual reproduction. Okay, because as you know, the female gamete will be there. Okay, and the male gamete will come in water and fertilize it. Okay, so this is the sexual reproduction in water. Okay, these plants live in soil and depend on marine organisms for sexual reproduction is no, this sexual. Okay, these plants live in water and depend on land animals. No required for land animals, it only needs water. These plants live near water bodies. No, they reproduce in the water bodies. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Okay, the next session we'll be talking a little bit about the angiosperms and gymnosperms, which is on Tuesday. I hope you people come back, and everything, all of these parts, okay, are very important also and very interesting also. You can take it like a story, okay, and it's not very difficult to understand, and you can score very nicely with these things. Okay, examples, small examples, small details, all you have to remember, and that's it. Okay, so like and share and subscribe. Okay, tell your friends to watch these videos. These are very important, okay, for your studies. And so I will soon see you guys later. Okay, bye bye.